Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Battleverse, where we break down some of the most shocking and high-stakes military encounters the world has ever seen. Today's story takes us right into the heart of the Pacific Ocean, where a confrontation unlike anything in naval history unfolded. It's the kind of event that military planners have feared for years, China launching 12 hypersonic missiles directly at the USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced and most expensive aircraft carrier in the United States Navy. This wasn't a drill. This wasn't an exercise. This was a moment where the world's most powerful warship suddenly became the prey, facing one of the deadliest modern weapons ever created. The tension, the technology, and the razor-thin margin between survival and catastrophe make this encounter something that needs to be told in detail. The USS Gerald R. Ford, hull number CBN-78, is not just a ship, it's a symbol. It represents decades of American naval dominance and the technological edge the United States has always sought to maintain. At over 1,092 feet long, it's essentially a floating city with a crew of over 4,500 personnel, capable of launching and recovering dozens of aircraft at a time. When you see it from the air, it's an imposing sight, a vast steel deck bristling with aircraft, flanked by smaller escort ships, all moving in tight formation across the endless blue. That's the exterior image most people have of a carrier, but on this day, as the Chinese missiles were launched, the Ford's commanding presence became a massive target on the open ocean. The flight deck itself is a marvel of modern engineering, optimized for speed and efficiency in launching aircraft. The island superstructure, smaller than on previous carriers, is positioned further aft to give more operational space and improve line of sight for air traffic control. Every antenna, radar dome, and sensor mast is placed for maximum coverage. The ship's radar-absorbing paint helps reduce its visibility to certain tracking systems, though no carrier of its size can ever be truly stealthy. Beneath the waterline, the hull is designed to cut through the sea with less resistance, improving fuel efficiency and speed. All of these design elements play a role not only in day-to-day operations but also in survival when a threat emerges. On that day, when radar operators reported multiple inbound missiles moving at hypersonic speeds, every inch of that exterior design was about to be put to the test. Inside, the USS Ford is a completely different world. While the exterior feels like a moving fortress, the interior feels like a high-tech command center fused with a miniature city. Passageways are narrow but efficient, leading to everything from sleeping quarters and dining halls to fully equipped medical facilities and engineering control rooms. The heart of the ship's operations is the Combat Information Center, a windowless, high-security room glowing with digital displays, radar sweeps, and tactical maps. This is where the ship's officers monitor threats, plot responses, and coordinate with other vessels in the carrier's strike group. When the hypersonic missile alert sounded, the CIC instantly came alive, calm, professional, but moving at the speed of urgency. Orders were given, defensive systems were armed, and the entire ship shifted from peacetime cruising to full combat readiness. The bridge, engineering control rooms, and weapon stations all received the same real-time feed of information, ensuring that every decision could be executed instantly. The crew, trained for precisely this kind of scenario, moved without hesitation. In terms of performance, the USS Ford is unmatched in the carrier world. Its two Bechtel A-1B nuclear reactors produce not only the power to push the ship beyond 30 knots but also the massive electrical output required for modern electromagnetic systems. This includes the revolutionary Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS, which replaces the old steam catapults with a more efficient, less stressful launch method for aircraft. The Ford can launch more sorties in a shorter period than any carrier before it, making it a force multiplier in any battle scenario. Its radar systems, like the dual-band radar, are capable of tracking hundreds of contacts at once, from tiny drones to fast-moving missiles. But hypersonic missiles are a special kind of challenge, moving at speeds above Mach 5, they drastically reduce reaction time. In this case, the incoming Chinese missiles were closing the distance at thousands of miles per hour, giving the Ford's defenses only minutes to respond. Those defenses are layered. First comes detection, early warning provided by both the ship's own sensors and airborne assets like E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft. Then comes the engagement by long-range interceptors such as the SM-6, capable of taking out threats far from the carrier group. If something gets past that, medium-range weapons like the evolved Sea Sparrow missile step in. Finally, for the threats that break through, there are close-in weapon systems like the Phalanx CIWS radar-guided Gatling guns that spew thousands of rounds per minute in a last-ditch wall of fire. On that tense day in the Pacific, all of these systems were in play. SM-6 missiles roared into the sky, intercepting some of the hypersonic threats far out at sea. Others were engaged by shorter-range missiles, and one or two even reached the range of the CIWS, which lit the air with streams of glowing tracer fire. Safety features on the USS Ford are not just about defending against attacks, they're about surviving if an attack succeeds. The ship is built with multiple watertight compartments, so even if part of the hull is breached, flooding can be contained. Armor plating and blast-resistant bulkheads protect key areas like the reactors and ammunition storage. Critical systems have backups, sometimes multiple layers deep, so that damage to one area doesn't cripple the whole ship. The crew is extensively trained in damage control, able to fight fires, stop flooding, and seal off compromised compartments at a moment's notice. On that day, as missile fragments and shockwaves rocked the ship, these safety systems ensured that operations continued without catastrophic damage. The Ford's sheer size and robust design gave it a resilience that smaller vessels simply couldn't match. The unique selling points of the USS Ford make it more than just another carrier. The ML system and advanced arresting gear allow it to handle a wider variety of aircraft, from heavy strike fighters to lighter unmanned drones, increasing its versatility. Automation reduces crew requirements compared to older carriers, freeing up space and lowering long-term operational costs. The ship's power generation capacity leaves room for future upgrades, like directed energy weapons or railguns, which could change the nature of naval warfare. It's also designed to operate as the nerve center of a carrier strike group, coordinating destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and aircraft into a single, lethal fighting force. The price tag for all of this is staggering. At an estimated $13 billion for construction alone, the USS Ford is the most expensive warship ever built. When you add in research, development, and planned upgrades, the total program cost is even higher. Critics argue about whether any single ship should cost so much, especially when it becomes such a high-value target. But supporters point out that its capabilities are unmatched and that a single Ford-class carrier can project power, provide humanitarian aid, or respond to crises anywhere in the world faster than almost any other military asset. In the end, the Pacific confrontation with China's hypersonic missiles was a stark reminder of both the strengths and the vulnerabilities of modern naval power. The Ford's defenses worked, the ship survived, the missiles were intercepted or neutralized, and the carrier strike group remained operational. But the event also showed how quickly a high-tech threat can materialize and how little time there is to react. Hypersonic weapons are a game-changer, forcing navies to think differently about defense, detection, and engagement ranges. For the crew of the USS Ford, the incident was a trial by fire, a real-world validation of years of training and preparation. For military strategists, it was a case study in the challenges of facing a peer competitor armed with cutting-edge weapons. And for the rest of us, it was a glimpse into the future of warfare, faster, deadlier, and more dependent than ever on advanced technology and split-second decision-making. The Pacific may look calm from above, but beneath that blue surface, it's a chessboard where every move counts, and every mistake can be fatal. The USS Gerald R. Ford proved its worth that day, but the game is far from over.